A few days ago, a tornado touched down in Freedom, Indiana. One of our subscribers, named Kurt, lives in Spencer, not very far from where this tornado touched down. He reached out to us and asked if we wanted to come down with our tractor and help clean up some of the debris. So we loaded up Johnny 2 and the Grapple and headed on down. The homeowner and his son had already done some work that afternoon, but they were tired, and there was a lot of work left to be done. Tim got to work moving these piles that the homeowner and his son had already cut up. The homeowner owns this field that you can see here behind the fence row. That's where we're going to pile this up. Kurt called the county a couple of days later, and it turns out that the homeowners are responsible to clean up their own mess and haul away the debris. Kurt had texted some of his co-workers to see if they could help. 2 summer interns volunteered. That's awesome. Kurt's the one running the chainsaw, and AJ is one of the summer interns.
It was too bad to see this black walnut being cut up into small chunks. I think Kurt decided it wasn't big enough for lumber anyway. This pile was already here. I tried to grab a portion of it, but it decided it all wanted to come along. The limbs were piled in there every which way, and it kind of bound together because of that. At first it looks like, hey, great, we got the whole thing in one load. But as I pulled it, pieces just kept falling off, effectively scattering it over the whole yard.
Wow. You're just moving the whole pile at one time. Okay, so he didn't make it with the entire pile. He had to drop part of it. I didn't get that on video.
In fact, I lost most of it. Yeah, I'm carrying it high, trying to keep from losing the rest, but it's pretty light.
I guess it is possible that if we pile it out here for him, he could even burn it at some point. So they're working on cutting up a tree that fell over.
And I'm working on picking up all the pieces that I scattered on that earlier trip. It's hard to get a good bite when the limbs are put on there every which direction.
Right now this house does not have power. Oh, he dropped one. Oh well.
There wasn't much space to get through there, and there was a stump that I had to run over on the way. Our 2038R has 2-inch wheel spacers on each side. It seems much more stable than our 1025R.
This is a neighbor's yard. You can see they lost a big tree. They've been working on cutting it up and loading it onto their trailer. But nobody's been in this tractor since we've been here, so I'm not sure what's going on with it. Here's just another view of some of the damage. It's interesting. Some of the trees are left standing and others were clipped off at the top, and then a lot of them came over root wad and all.
I talked to the owner of the 5125R. He had recently traded a 5075E open station for it. He found he needed just a little bit more weight. Refer to our Not Enough Ballast episode for our experience.
Miles is the young intern in red. Both the interns were a big help to us older people. Tim asked Miles and AJ to separate out the logs that would make good firewood from the brush. Then Tim hauled both to the next field, but separated the good firewood.
We didn't get much time to talk with Kurt on camera because, well, he was working so hard. But he's a longtime TTWT viewer. You can see his comments. His handle is Kurt White. He has a Kubota B2650. But since we didn't have quite enough help, he used his saw and left his tractor on the trailer. Hopefully we'll get back together and we'll get to see that tractor in another episode.
It rained on and off the whole time we were there. Sometimes it would rain pretty hard, and I would have to duck under the trees to keep the camera equipment from getting too wet. Kurt, AJ, and Miles try to get a lot of the debris away from this back door. Tim couldn't get in there very close with the tractor. AJ and Miles drug out a lot of the limbs manually. They piled the limbs in nice, neat stacks, just perfect for the grapple to pick up and carry off.
We've got a lot of questions about these tires. I wanted to experience some challenging situations before I gave a more formal review. This project provided that challenge. Deere calls these a turf radial. Galaxy calls them an R3+. I found they performed very well, much better than a turf tire, and matching or exceeding the industrial tires. That is, until they get full of mud. They resist getting mud packed, but once full, they don't self-clean very quickly. And they hold a lot of mud, releasing it on my shed floor, in my trailer, or in my driveway. Now back to the positives. They have a really big surface area. This provides great flotation and a great ride. Maybe the radial aspect has something to do with that ride, but the ride quality is excellent. This was definitely a challenging environment. It was muddy underneath, it was raining, so it was slick on top, and there was significant slope. We'll provide more feedback as we get more experience with them. I continue to be impressed with the Artillian Grapple. This is the first extended use I've given it on the 2038R. It seems like a great match. The tooth clamp configuration is really optimal for uneven loads of brush. We could have done all of this project with the 1025R. I have no doubt of that. It would have been more tipsy, and I might have struggled some with that huge ROPS sticking up so high. And of course, due to the tipsiness, I would have to have the ROPS up in this environment. The disadvantages of the 2038R did not really present themselves here. We had sufficient room to move around, navigate, turn, etc. So I believe we had the optimal tractor for the job. Here's a good example of clamping that uneven load.
You can see the ground is beginning to get pretty muddy, and Tim's tires are beginning to get pretty slick.
When they stack those limbs in the same direction, it's really easy for me to go in and pick them all up. The main trick here is to keep clamping as we curl. The load always seems to loosen as it's being curled backwards. Of course, I have a diverter, so it's actually clamp, curl, clamp, curl, clamp, curl by pushing and releasing the diverter button. Here you can see that the front tires are full of mud. I would prefer a more aggressive tread pattern on the front. The rain is making it slicker and slicker. I'm kind of making a mess of the guy's yard. So I don't really know whether we're doing a good thing or not. But this first pile, you know, I got almost all of it in one grab. And then as I dragged it, I just drifted along.
Yeah.
Made a lot of mess. Guys, we've taken on a bigger project than we can handle.
In a few hours for sure.
This
Yeah,
is,
he said 21 acres?
yeah, he said he has 21 acres, and if they all look like what this is right behind us, we're not going to have much of a chance.
No.
But it does look like, Kurt, you've taken off a little bit of the tree off his house and maybe around his door a little bit.
A little bit.
So
A little more sunshine.
now, AJ and Miles, you guys, you're interns here for the summer. Where do you live?
I live in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, so it's right next to Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's in the central part of the state.
I've heard of Worcester, Mass.
How do
Yeah.
you spell it?
That's a real question.
Worcester.
Is it Worcester?
Just
There
like
actually
the
is a
South.
Worcester, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a Worcester
it
and a
is.
Worcester.
There's a Worcester and a Worcester.
Yeah.
I guess so. I
No.
don't know, man.
And where do
It's
you
just-
live?
I'm in University of Louisville, so I'm living in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, but you're up here, and you guys work at Boston Scientific, all of you?
Yes. Yep.
This is not science.
I mean, we'll call it geology.
Well, it's giving back too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you guys calling me and asking me down to help, but I wish you would have turned the sunshine on a little bit more and the rain
Next
off a
time,
little
yeah.
bit.
Next time.
Yeah.
So,
Not this time.
well, I don't know if we should keep. It's raining harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Christy's taking her cap off
Oh,
now
no.
and put over the camera.
That's
So
dedication.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's some lightning too.
we need to get out of here, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know we have. Look,
Yeah.
they're all sweaty.
This is awesome.
The only wet on me is the rain. I've been riding Johnny too. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Stop moving stuff. I told Christy, I said this moving stuff on the ground is for the younger guys.
Yeah.
This is why I bought a tractor.
Easy on.
Yeah.